Hello everyone and welcome back to For the Minions, episode number 20. This is the show where we talk about some of the spiritual successors to Paragon. This week we have our news and updates as always, and we have the poll results. Then we got Tech Time with Ruba. And after that we're going to have a discussion about the different maps. We've now seen all 4 maps really, and we're just going to contrast and compare the maps. And then we got, our community suggestions and our community builder, and we'll move on from there. I am your host, the one and only Mangoose. Joining me, as always, is the lovely MandiMal. How you doing, Mandy?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much. And our special little friend that's joining us today, Mr. QualityMike. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you guys for having me.
No worries.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got started with Paragon, your favorite player, all that good juicy stuff.
Gotcha. Well, first things first, I guess I'll address, my favorite player. I'm sorry to everybody. I am that Wukong player that liked to split push a lot. I kept getting beat by Wukongs that just split push, so I thought might as well go ahead and just start playing him and beat people that way instead. But I got started in Paragon, New Year's of 2017 going on 2018. I finally got a PS4, and my brother hooked me up with that sweet Paragon download, so that's how I got into it, and then just started really taking off from V42, and now I'm here.
Yeah, it's okay if you like Wukong, man. It's okay. I don't think less of you as a player. I think less of you as a person. So
it's an ethical dilemma, everybody's getting beat in the mid lane, and I'm just off pushing left or right. It is what it is.
That's awesome.
Oh, goodness.
By the way, QualityMike, I didn't know if I wanted to bring him on here because his eyes are prettier than mine. And I don't care for that. Look. Especially if he does that. do that again, Mike. Oh, you can just hear the panties dropping. You can just hear them. Let's move on to the... go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say I got them from my mama.
Oh. Let's move on to the news and updates for MetaBuff and Core. But they got they wanted us to let you know that they have their newsletter available for sign up. So if you want to sign up for their newsletter, head over to metabuff.com. That's their website, and I'm sure you can stay. Excuse me. I'm sure you can stay up to date there on the with the newsletter. And we don't know when the alpha is going to release now since it's been postponed. So get on that newsletter so you can be the first to know when it happens. So I also wanted to mention that they actually listened to us. They actually listened to the old For the Minions crew about the Alpha Key giveaway. My complaint was that they the way they were doing it kind of excluded people that had work or sleep schedules that precluded them from participating in these very short key giveaways. So they started to do a couple of 24-hour duration key giveaway, so I was really happy to see that. A lot of the European guys or the Middle Eastern guys, or we got people playing from Japan and everything. Not all of those can get on during the prime time for streamers to try and get a key. So good on MetaBuff for recognizing that and providing a solution to that problem. QualityMike, you did a video recently about key giveaways and stuff. Did you want to talk about that?
My big thing about it, and actually when you commented on the video that I had made and brought up the point about streamers and how they do it, and they may be excluding some people that, like you said, have time constraints because they're either in a different area or work or whatever it may be. I thought that was an awesome point. But my biggest thing was just subscribing or seemingly paying for access when it was initially the way I reacted to it was everybody has a equal and fair chance to get in, and they still do. I know Predecessor and Core has always said it's all equal chance to get in, but when streamers started to do subscribing for a better chance to get in, and that being said, it is their right to do whatever they want to do. Predecessor endorsed it as far as it's their right to do whatever they want to do with it. Same with MetaBuff, but I didn't like it just from I don't necessarily watch a lot of streamers, and then when I do get into those key giveaways and then I start watching, and then it's if you subscribe though you get a 5 times or 10 times better chance. I don't really care for it, and it kind of turns me off, but to each their own. Do your thing. I don't know, if I had a key maybe I would do the same thing. You never know. So But that was my thoughts on it, really.
I think you're right, and I think we as a creative community need to step up and recognize that these games are for the fans of Paragon. We're fans of Paragon, and there are many fans of Paragon out there that don't create content, but they're still equally, even more so, fans of the game. So doing stuff like that, I think, is a little. I don't care for it myself, but the game's being made for the fans, not so that content creators can kick off their Twitch and their YouTube channels. A lot of them are going to do that, and it's a great opportunity if you want to do that. But be careful with your ethics and your morals when you go about doing things like that, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on, we pulled a couple questions from the frequently asked questions. I usually go to Opolis, the VP for MetaBuff, for the updates, but he was a little busy this week. I'm not going to get into his personal life, but it was some very happy things came for Opolis this week. So shout out to Opolis. As far as the questions go, when can we expect the next round of heroes to come out? And their answer was all of the original heroes of the 38 will be released starting with the first 15. Then each set of heroes will be released after they have been tested and balanced through quality control and customer experience departments, respectively. So, what do you guys think about that statement?
I think that last part is very important. That after they have been tested and balanced.
Definitely.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to avoid the hashtag every 3 weeks, which is a very good thing, I think, to all of our perspectives. And they did say there that it's sets of heroes, so I don't know if it's going to be 1 hero, 2 hero, 3 heroes. I don't know what constitutes a set of heroes, but it'd be cool to see 2 or 3.
I think it's cool. Yeah, I think it's cool too, because whenever a hero would get released into the game, it was like you would get so many draft aborts because people would all want to lock into that hero so fast, or whoever got first pick would get them, and then if you didn't get it, you were like salty as heck, and then you wanted to get out, to get a better chance. But I think that'll be cool. A couple heroes, maybe 2, 3 at a time, if they're tested properly and if they're balanced and they're not too game breaking. Then we're gonna get some games, not so many draft aborts.
Yeah,
no more draft aborts.
What a good point. I'm glad we brought you on, QualityMike.
Yeah.
Man, quality points from QualityMike, guys.
Yeah.
On brand.
On brand. Hey, quality you can trust, baby.
I love it.
So, will there be any kind of deck building system with the new item system? There will be a builder for the item system. We don't really know what the item system is going to be. I don't think it's going to be what they announced in the proof of concept, but it should be pretty much a standard MOBA item system, and you will be able to pre-build those items. I think they're very big on having access to all of the items, so you can still go off the beaten path if you want to and build whatever you want during a game. However, you can have certain item sets preset for a hero, go into the game, and then use that item set, which is something that a lot of people are looking for, and something I think a MOBA needs. So, I think that's pretty cool. What do you guys think?
Well, I was just thinking, so I brought up Smite to you earlier when we were talking, Mangoose, and one of the things, I know we talked a little bit about item trees, but what I kind of want to get into a little bit specifically with it was, I know what you can do in Smite a little bit. I'm not, super 100% sure about this, but, I think you can go in and you can, set up what you want in that game, as far as starter items, and then, mid-game, as far as, your core items, and then, core items would be after mid-game. But, and then if you need to do specific things, if you're need more defense, need more offense, whatever it may be, but you can pre-select those, and then I don't know if it purchases it for you, but just for quicker, once you return to base, then you can get out really quick, if you have the currency to purchase certain items, and then as soon as you get back to base, it buys those for you. You're good to go. You just peace out. You don't have to go through and select it and scroll it or whatever you have to do for PC. I haven't played Paragon on PC yet, so I don't even know exactly how that works. But as far as PS4 building, it was a little bit slow just because you have to click over every single time. So I think it'd be cool if you could get a preset thing where it just automatically purchases it for you. You're good to go, and then you just kick out.
Wait, are you telling me that you played Paragon on PS4?
That I did.
Really?
I took a lot of pride. I took a lot of pride in being a PS4 player.
I didn't think anybody played Paragon on PS4. That's amazing.
Well, I can tell you the graphics are pretty cool. Obviously not as good as PC, but I mean, they were still pretty good.
70% of the player base, man. 70% of the Paragon's player base were PS4, and that's why everybody is hyped for any of these games to come to console.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Well, I remember I wasn't talking to him specifically, but like I was in an Involve stream. Involve, what team did he play for in esports? I don't quite remember, but I remember he was saying like when he started, he was on PS4 and he was like took a lot of pride in playing esports, like in the competitive scene and like beating everybody on PC. And I was like, I'm gonna be the next Involve, yo.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't, but you know, that's what my thought process was.
But you gotta have goals.
Right. Goals.
So let's move on to Omeda Studios. Mandy, what do we got from Omeda this week?
Well, they have been some busy little bees over there. So they've been hard at work making sure that the relaunch is going to be as successful as possible. So they've been implementing the gameplay ability system, or G.A.S, which we're going to learn more about during Tech Time, I believe. So that'll kind of help put this more into perspective too, their announcement. So what they've been doing is they've been using that gameplay ability system, and that has eliminated input lag. So there will be zero input lag when they relaunch. And then they've basically been rebuilding hero kits to with the new combat systems. So also, while they've been rebuilding the kits, they've kind of addressed some of the issues that the initial alpha launch brought to light, and that was things like color coding, basically different abilities. So depending on which team you're on, your ability would obviously or should obviously be a different color, whether it's blue or orange, so you can kind of tell. Like they use the example of Sevarog, his what was it, Subjugate, I believe. So it'll be a different color. I want to say, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Muriel's bubble was also, it was the same color, and you can see where that kind of leads to
Tesla Dome as well.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah. So now that's going to make team fights a little bit more easy to navigate with the color changing there. So
Yeah.
what do you guys think?
I'm hoping they get their alpha back up and running soon, because I had so much fun getting back in and playing some of my favorites. Gadget being the one that I kind of gravitated towards for predecessor. And it was just an absolute blast. I'm glad to hear those guys are still plugging away, getting these things hashed out, getting that input lag the heck out of there, because that was probably the biggest issue that I had with the game. I know the biggest issue people had that were viewing my stream was the footsteps, but the footsteps weren't nearly as bad as the input lag, and the footsteps can be adjusted later. So I'm really happy to see that coming out. What do you got, Mike?
Well, I was just thinking, like, as far as, I made a video that was like about the alpha, and I was thinking, I'm not even that upset that I didn't get in it, because I remember watching, I think, Nabori, and he had said, I think there's a 1.5 second delay between mouse click and ability, or mouse click and basic attack. So like thinking that this game is at like a super playable state and then getting in, I think people are actually a little bit lucky that they didn't necessarily all get in to play this game, because they were probably going to get pretty pissed and then, destroy the Paragon subreddit or, Omeda Studios Reddit about it. So I wasn't too upset. The other thing is, I was thinking, like, I mean, how pissed off would you be if you were in a tricky situation and then you run into a gadget, Tesla Dome, thinking that you're safe.
Yeah.
And then you just get absolutely obliterated.
That was another problem they had. The ability damage on Gadget was insane. But yeah, it was really insane on Gadget. Just happy to see those guys getting back in there. I don't know if you saw like the little clip I had of Sockap and I trying to chase one Murdoch down that had like just a tiny bit of health. Both of us firing away, him on Murdoch and me on Gadget. Couldn't hit him for anything.
Yeah, I remember I was watching Stark too. I know I said I don't watch Twitch streamers. I swear to God, I don't watch them that much. But I click on him for a second and then I get off of it for the most part. But I was watching Stark play, and he had like a Murdoch that was way overextended and was like in a just a mosh pit of minions, like enemy minions, and Murdoch, he's just like dancing around Stark, and Stark just could not hit this guy to save his life, and everybody's like, you're a potato in the chat, and I was like, Something's going on here, guys.
Yeah, if like Stark is not hitting basic attacks with Murdoch, then there's a problem.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Moving on to Ethereal, we didn't have a whole lot for Ethereal. I'm hearing some rumblings from them though. I think soon we'll get some big news from those guys. But they are already introducing skin concepts that are pretty damned cool. They announced one publicly on their Discord, which is for Nikolai. Had kind of a steampunk Nikolai with a guitar, and then the jester Nikolai with kind of a lute. I like those in Discord. Did you guys take a look at those?
I did, yes. Nikolai is freaking adorable.
Isn't he though?
I love him. I can't wait to play him.
Yeah, he's going to be a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with that. I really like the lute skin. And then they also released some skins for Malaya. One of them was one that I was really hoping for, which is like the traditional Chinese gown, which is called a keep high, I think. Something like that. I looked it up, but yeah, it's really cool. And she also kind of has a steampunk skin as well. So it seems like maybe there'll be steampunk skins for all the heroes eventually, maybe. I don't know. But I think it's cool that they're already, leaning on their concept artists to put some skins together, because that's definitely going to be one of the monetary things that drives the game. Every game needs to make money, and if you're going to make money, it should be off stuff that's cosmetic, like skins, I think. What'd you guys think of the Malaya skins?
I really surprisingly liked the cyberpunk or steampunk or whatever it was. I really liked that one. That's usually not my jam, but I was like, dang, she looks good.
Oh yeah, cyberpunk, that's
really
what it is.
good.
My bad.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's definitely going to have some bootylicious skins. That is for sure. I think her main skin seems to maybe cover it up a little bit, but it's going to be fun playing her from the back. Yo.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So is she going to be, are we calling it now, is she the Decker of, or would she be the Decker or the Aurora?
Oh, I think with that Empress Malaya, she's going to be the Decker with an Aurora outfit. She's going to have that Decker booty with a
Decker booty.
Hey, she's the best. She's the best of both worlds, man.
She's got it, and she's going to fly.
Oh yeah,
right, yeah.
Then Phoenix Rising, they didn't have anything. They did send me a GIF in response to me asking for updates, which shows that they still got a sense of humor over there, and they're still plugging away on the game. And hopefully we'll see some more stuff from those guys soon. But that's going to be it for the news and updates. Okay, everybody, it's time to get into the poll results. The poll results this week, of course, just like last week, are included in all of the above category. So let's take a look. Last week, we had 1.2k votes. Core had 74% of those votes. Predecessor had 7. Ethereal had 9. Phoenix Rising had 2. And the all of the above category had 8. This week we had 1.1k votes. Core had 65. Predecessor had 7. Ethereal with 8. Phoenix Rising with 2. And all of the above went to 19. So Core still taking the lion's share of the votes. However, it seems like a lot of people are starting to pick the all of the above, and I'm happy to see that, because I think we should be excited for each and every one of these games. Hopefully our little show is having some sort of effect on that. I imagine it is, since these are my subscribers that are voting on this poll. So
right.
Interesting stuff. And again, I won't be able to do a bar graph because I can't, two polls with the all of the above aren't enough to really substantiate a bar graph, so that's going to be it for the polls. And now we're going to move into Tech Time with Ruba. This week we're going to be talking about the gameplay ability system. We already kind of mentioned it a little bit when we were talking about Ameda Studios and Predecessor. And what Tech Time is, if you haven't ever watched the show, we're talking about what it takes to bring the Paragon heroes alive. A lot of people think it was just plug and play, like, oh, you have the assets, just put them into a map and let them play. No, it's a lot more to it than that. Go back, watch some of the other Tech Times, and you can see just so much work goes into this. And the gameplay ability system seems like a big part of it. So let's go ahead and check out Tech Time. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tech Time. We got Ruba back. You don't have to deal with me just kind of putting around in the Unreal Engine this time. We got the real professional back with us today, and we're going to be talking about the gameplay ability system. Is that right, Ruba?
We're going to be talking about, yes. Yeah, we're going to be talking about a couple of things, but G.A.S or the gameplay ability system is going to come up.
Okay, right on. You can roll right with it, man.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to talk about abilities in general, and I'm going to kind of explain why some of this stuff is important, and why G.A.S is like a big topic. So Core have recently talked about using G.A.S as one of the key systems that they want to implement. Sergeant Smokey and Predecessor, they've been implementing G.A.S recently, and Smokey had a recent live stream that I'll link that he goes into a lot of detail about like specifics of it for their project. But I want to talk a little bit about abilities and why this kind of stuff is important. So hopefully here on screen you can see that I have a high-res Murdoch and a high-res Twin Blast. And we're going to talk a little bit about something we talked a couple of weeks ago about client servers and proxies and why that's important. So imagine we're going to talk about Paragon and imagine back we're doing this. So we have a Murdoch in lane and we have a Twin Blast. These are two players and they are playing on their own computers. So Murdoch could be on PC, Twin Blast could be on PlayStation, doesn't really matter. But for the intents and purposes, they are playing the own version of their game on their computer. We'll refer to that as the client. So Murdoch's in lane, and he's playing on his client. Twin Blast is on his client. And they're also playing at the same time on the server. So this kind of red area is the server. Paragon used Amazon Web Services for their stuff. But you effectively have 3 versions of the game at this point. So if I'm Murdoch, and I've got this little projectile, and I want to shoot Twin Blast, it goes through a bunch of stuff for that to actually happen. So bear in mind that there's 3 versions of the game running just now. There's the Murdoch version and everything that he sees on screen, and there's the Twin Blast version and everything he sees on screen, and then what actually happens on the server. And the server is sort of like, it's called the authority, but everything that has to happen in the game has to be confirmed by the server. So I'm Murdoch, and I shoot a bullet at Twin Blast. Now, when I hit the shoot key, bear in mind that for Murdoch to actually hit Twin Blast, if you imagine this is like the shot going out and doing it. Murdoch has a ping of 100 milliseconds. And have you seen pings in terms of like network latency before? Ping just means echo. So when Murdoch connects to the Twin Blast client, he will send the bullet through the server to Twin Blast. And that would say take, 100 seconds for that to go there and then come back. Now, because I'm on Murdoch's client and I shoot the Twin Blast, I actually need to tell the server that I've shot Twin Blast. And there's a couple of different ways of doing this. And if you're really interested and want to know more about this, I would go back and look at Smokey's predecessor stream that he put where he goes into this in more details. But effectively what happened with the original predecessor test is Murdoch would shoot the bullet and it would go and it would think about hitting Twin Blast. But a lot of people experienced client latency, or they'd hit the button and nothing would happen, and then all of a sudden Twin Blast would get shot. And what was happening is the bullet was being sent by Murdoch to hit the Twin Blast, but it would actually have to go to the server. So Murdoch would fire the bullet, the server would go, okay, you've shot him. It would then say, yep, you shot Twin Blast, and then it would have to go back to Murdoch. And Murdoch would then need to okay, yes, you hit him. So even though you're shooting the enemy, you're not actually hitting them until the server says, yep, you hit them. So in this instance, what happens is that it feels really unresponsive. And I know you were on the predecessor alpha as well, Mongoose, and you can probably attest to that kind of feeling of you'd hit the button and then there'd be like a half a second delay or so.
Oh yeah.
So that was happening because the server basically was always in charge. Anything unless the server said, yep, hit, deal damage. So effectively, any time that we're casting abilities or you're moving or you're hitting someone with a basic attack, this always needs to go and hit the enemy person, but it always needs to be clarified by the server. Now, a lot of people we've said, well, Paragon didn't have that problem. Other online first-person shooters don't have the same problem. And the reason is that they use something called client prediction. So what happens is Murdoch shoots the bullet and it hits Twin Blast. So you hit the button and the bullet goes out straight away. But what would actually happen in the background is you would shoot the bullet. The Murdoch client, the game he's playing, would check things like cooldowns and mana. If it was an ability that cost mana. And it would tell Murdoch if he was allowed to do it or not. And then Murdoch would fire the bullet and it'd hit Twin Blast. But it's only happened on Murdoch's side. Okay, so Twin Blast doesn't actually know he's been hit yet, but Murdoch does think he's hit him. So that's like kind of where the client prediction comes in. The client predicts if it hits or not. Then the next thing that would happen is the server goes, well, did you actually hit him? And if he does, it would go back to Murdoch and say, yep, you hit him. Or if there was some kind of issue, such as Twin Blast moved. Okay, so Murdoch fires it, and Twin Blast moves, but because Twin Blast moved on his end, Murdoch doesn't actually know he's moved yet. So it would miss. And in Paragon, that would probably look like you drop an ability and you're like, I definitely hit him. Like you drop a Gideon Rock or a stun, and the game server would go, nope, you missed him. And in some instances, what would happen is you'd actually shoot and hit and think you actually dealt damage, but then the damage would undo itself. Like it would undo. Like you hit someone, you're like, oh, I hit him, but then he's not stunned or something. And that's because between the time that you fire it and the server goes, well, what actually happened? Something's changed.
Okay.
So, any system like you build for Unreal Engine needs to use some kind of client prediction for it. And I think that's where the gameplay ability system, which is Epic's own version of like how they do abilities, has came up a lot, because that is it's a system. It was built primarily for Paragon, and like as the developers were building Paragon and adding in all these abilities, they figured out this problem, so they built a full system. And so that's what gameplay ability system does. It does a lot. Like it's not just for abilities. It's like when it's called a system, there's like tons and tons of stuff that it can do. So it can do things like handle attributes, which are what people most commonly call stats on heroes. So like health, mana, damage, crit. It can handle all that kind of stuff. So if Murdoch has like 150 health, gameplay ability system can tell the Twin Blast that that's how much health he has. And the G.A.S isn't special. Like the gameplay ability system isn't a special system. It can do anything that any normal system can show. So what I have, and we're going to switch gears slightly, is I actually have an example project here now. This is one that is available as part of a Udemy course. So there's a chap called Ambience Lee who's put together like an introduction for the gameplay ability system that I've had for a while, that I decided to use because it means I don't have to use my own code.
Okay.
But it means I can kind of show you how some of the gameplay ability system works. So let me make this big. Oh, come on. Yeah, that was right. I'm going to do that first. Okay, so we have Shinbi, and it's a pretty basic system. But you see down the bottom, she has 3 attributes. So she has left on the left, she has the red, which is the health. She has mana, and she has, I think it's called strength in this example. But this is just a basic system using gameplay ability system. I'll kind of quickly show you a couple of the abilities and what they do, and then we'll have a quick look at kind of how it works. So the first ability that she has is a dash, which you hopefully can see that they're using the original. Was it rushing beat, rushing tempo?
Yeah, rushing beat.
Rushing beat.
Yeah, the line tempo was her.
Line tempo was the doggies, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it uses that. She has another ability that uses a laser, which you can see that this is just a tech demo.
Okay.
She has another ability, if we get enough mana back, which I think this is a stun. Yep, does a stun, does all this. And a fire blast. And this is all kind of just using gameplay ability system. So what I can show you here is not this one. I will show you the dash, just to get an idea. So these abilities as you can hopefully see, can be quite complicated.
Holy shit,
And this ability only works in single player, so it doesn't actually handle any of the client prediction stuff that you need it to do. But it's like all it really is doing is using the gameplay ability system, managing some cooldown, and then does the dash. Like this part here handles the moving forward, so it moves her forward. This impulse thing here is the actual dash. It turns off ground friction, sets collision, which means it lets Shinbi dash through the target, plays the animation, and then this is more gameplay ability system stuff where it applies the damage. This is the damage thing here and does all this. So this is kind of like just like an overview of gameplay ability system. This is just one very, very small part, which is the ability system. It handles, as I said before, things like cooldowns. It handles a system, or uses a system called the gameplay execution effect, which lets you roll up all your damage calculations into one thing. So it's a really, really powerful thing. And for most people, it's just this pre-packaged setup that anyone can take and drop into an Unreal Engine game. Biggest problem with it is that it is a bit of a nightmare to implement, because Epic, once again, didn't leave everything in place, and the documentation for it is pretty poor, and you have to figure out a lot of things to get around it. Like, it's not just a drag and drop in system. It needs a lot of system, a lot of setup, but you can, it's basically the thing that Paragon used, the thing that Fortnite uses to some degree as well. So if you're going and you're trying to get that Paragon feeling, this is definitely the system to use. And if you decide not to use it, you're going to have to build your own system, which is just a lot of time and a lot of extra effort and energy and work to go through.
Okay, so just put this out to everybody so that they know that all that stuff that was linked together in the system was not there for the game developers to use. They couldn't just take that template, attach it to Shinbi, and then have rushing beat. That's something they had to build on their own. Is that right? Yeah, so you have to figure out, so like this example here, not that one, this ability here, so you'd have to go and do the animation. So Shinbi here, this is our cast animation, I think. You would have to go and design this target on the ground. You would have to go and figure out how you target. So if I aim here, it doesn't hit her. But then rushing beat does hit her and does damage. Like, you'd have to go figure out, design the whole ability, figure out how the damage works, add in the animations. Again, this person's just stuck in this basic animation. This is just one. Like, there's loads and loads of stuff, and you have to figure out a lot of it yourself. The documentation online, like, a couple of people have pulled some stuff together to make it easier for people, like, trying to use a system. But for a lot of the time, like, you're digging through like source code and C++ and looking for how things work, and even then, like, a lot of the stuff that you have to build, like, isn't even relating to abilities. It's things like how you handle health, how you handle crit, and things like that. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of crit. That's a whole new layer, huh? Crit, like when you start digging into gameplay ability system and thinking about things like crit, or even I had a conversation with someone earlier this evening about movement speed. Like, it gets really complicated really fast. Like, Paragon had a really complicated movement speed system where they would say, like, add 300, and unless you know that most heroes start at 700, and like adding 300, and then what happens if, like, you add a slow penalty at the same time, or what happens if you have nitro boost and blue buff, like, how do you handle all those things? Like, it gets really, really complicated because you have to figure out a lot of underlying systems before you can just add in a dash. It doesn't quite work like that. Right on. Another thing I should put out. This isn't going to be Shinbi's kit in any game out there. This is a demonstration only. Don't flip out. Yeah, this represents no active game development. I say this is from a Udemy course. It's by a chap called Ambience Lee. If you go onto Udemy and search for gameplay ability system, you'll find his course. It's quite basic. It covers a lot, like just how it works. It doesn't cover any multiplayer or server stuff like that. I wouldn't imagine Shinbi from any of the Paragon remakes would look quite like this. This is just using the Shinbi assets because they're available in the Unreal Marketplace and anyone can use them. Yeah. Right on, very cool. Yeah, that's the more I learn, the more I realize how very complicated it is to build these games, and holy crap.
Yeah, and like when you start like Billy, I always say, like, if people want to get into Unreal Engine, building maps is probably the easiest thing, because it's like, say I want to build a map. Okay, this is like a really basic thing. So I'm on Unreal Engine and moving around, and I can go, you know what? Let's go get some geometry. Let's go pop a box in. Okay, and we can pop a box in, and we can do stuff for the box and like things like that. And like that's relatively simple. Like building maps, especially if you're using assets that Epic have provided, like life gets really easy. But when you start thinking about a hero and like doing abilities, like there's so many decisions and work that needs to be done like behind the scenes that you'll never see as a player to actually have a game that works and plays properly.
Well, let's hope they can get this. What's the abbreviation? Do you just call it G.A.S? Gas? What is it? What's the cool lingo for it?
People call it G.A.S. People call it Gameplay Ability System, because G.A.S is kind of a lame acronym, but but Gameplay Ability System, or G.A.S, both works. People usually know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, let's hope everybody can implement the G.A.S and do it well. I really need to get in here and learn how to do some of this stuff.
As I say, like there's G.A.S. I definitely wouldn't recommend G.A.S for a learner. Like you can do a lot of it in blueprints. So like what I'm looking in here is blueprints. So you can see a lot of like this is just like dropping. Like we'll actually see it in a minute when we go into the third section of Tech Time this week. And I'll show you in a bit more detail. But like you kind of drag and drop these boxes in. But a lot of G.A.S actually uses C++, and you have to use C++. There's no way to get around it. And if I load up Visual Studio here, which hopefully it shouldn't take too long. Here we go. So you can see that quite quickly, a lot of this code stuff starts coming into place that you have to use, and a lot of the time you don't really have a choice about what you use for it. Like it can get quite scary when you start getting into code. So yeah, not for the light-hearted, but it's definitely things people can get into if they want to start playing about with Unreal Engine.
Okay, let's move on into the topic of discussion for this week. And the topic for discussion for this week, we've now seen all 4 maps. We've seen Phoenix Rising's map first, and then we saw Ethereal's first map, and then Predecessor's map, and now Core's map. So now we can take a look at all of them together, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the upsides and some of the downsides. So let's go in order of when they were released and talk about Phoenix Rising's map. It's probably been a while since you guys took a look at the Phoenix Rising map. Do you remember anything about it?
Very colorful. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I definitely had to go back and remind myself. And I was blown away all over again. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how kick-ass this looked. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely cool. Very, very colorful. I like what they showed the comparison of their before and after when they started using Quixel, I think it is. So, and that made it look just, so it's looking good.
And then
whatever that like Prime Guardian or like whatever that beast is, that I don't remember the hero that's standing in front of it. I don't know if it has a name or not, but tiny. looks badass. That's for sure.
I think that's Ariella, or I think Aurora, something like that. Ariella. That's the one that was standing in front of the Prime Beast. But yeah, that big kaiju thing, that was Almighty Gur designed that, and it is absolutely amazing. He had to leave the team, not because of any kind of like creative differences or anything, but just because life happens and he had to move on. But what Mandy was talking about with the Quixel Mega Scans, that helps them improve their textures without also like screwing up your FPS. It's kind of a new cool system that they were using, and I didn't think textures were that big of a deal until we started testing the core map, and people were like really digging into the dirt, saying it looked like Minecraft dirt. And I'm like, it's an alpha map, who cares about the dirt? There's other things to look at, but people really do care about that stuff. And if that's something you care about, then maybe Phoenix Rising is more up your alley with their mega textures there. And kind of another thing is I've seen a lot of people, but for both Predecessor's map and Core's map, saying that they wanted more like like huge mushrooms and a variety of vegetation and everything. That's on the Phoenix Rising map, people. That is on the Phoenix Rising map. Like all that stuff is already there. I think that might be what's influencing people asking about that, though. They probably remember seeing that on the Phoenix Rising map, and then they're looking at the core and the predecessor map, and they're like kind of projecting what they already knew from Phoenix Rising onto those maps. But I think the big...
Well, one of the things that I thought, like, well, when I played it on PS4, Paragon, and I would see my brother playing on PC, like, I saw, like, flowing grass on PC where it really, like, moved and it looked, like, very natural. And then on PS4, it was just, like, it was, like, the more Minecraft or grass, you know, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, wait, how can I, like, change my settings to make it a little bit more, like, flowy like that? Like, is that possible? But it wasn't. So I guess that is kind of a big deal for some people, for sure. I mean, I guess it was for me.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously the drawback for Phoenix Rising's map is it has almost certainly changed a lot since June. So that map that we saw, it could be totally different by now. And we're just still waiting on some updates from those guys to see what they've done. And as we've mentioned before, their first tech demo is going to be a 1-lane map, a 3v3 with a 1-lane map. That's not the game. The game will be, you know, a full 5-on-5 3-lane map. But the first tech demo, the first little taste we get of the new map will be a 1-lane map. So that's going to be cool to see, and hopefully we see it pretty soon. And then what was the second map? Oh yeah, Ethereal's map. Ethereal. I don't know if we may have seen Ethereal's map even before the Phoenix Rising map, but you know, the first instance of Ethereal's map, there wasn't a lot of verticality. It was very flat. It was very Smite-like, I would say. Even though, you know, they do have the tiers, like, you know, your bottom lane's here, your middle lane's here, and then your top lane's here. That was still there, but there wasn't any verticality within those lanes. And then they changed that, came out with a new map, and it is absolutely stunning, just incredible. Mike, I know you've been following Ethereal almost, if not more than I have. What do you think of Ethereal's map?
Oh, sorry, I kind of what I think of the map. I think it's like, it obviously, like you said, it's beautiful. I think the one thing we can all agree on with all these maps is we're going to get a beautiful map. Yeah. We're going to play in an awesome place. But it is huge. It does seem pretty humongous, which I don't have an issue with. I love the verticality of it, like top, middle, and bottom. It looks awesome. I can't wait to get on it. I mean, we've seen some bunnies running around on it. We've seen what Malaya run around on it, maybe do like some interesting ability where it covers herself in like a red orb. But, you know, besides that, you know, we haven't really seen too much more on it. But I mean, there's dragons flying around. There's, I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. Maybe I remember Mandy mentioned one day on a different For the Minions podcast or episode that there's maybe going to be some cannons. So, I mean, I couldn't be more excited for this map than I already am.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it's going to play into what are the ones that can destroy? Is it berserkers that can destroy? Yeah, I'm excited to see what that's all going to be about. Like, what can you destroy? What can you interact with, and everything. That's going to be what I'm excited to see some examples of. If they give us like some gameplay pretty soon, that would be really cool. It'd
be nice to see if that stuff's going to come back too, like after it's destroyed, if it's going to eventually respawn or not.
Oh, good point.
Right.
But yeah, I think definitely the drawbacks for their map is that it is so ambitious that it just may not work. And we have no idea what the meta is going to be with a map like that. It doesn't seem like a gimmick to me. It seems like it will impact gameplay, but we don't know how much is going to impact gameplay. There's so much just unknown about Ethereal, but I think as far as I'm concerned, out of all 4 maps, if you were to have to ask me which one is the best looking, I would say Ethereal's map. They weren't constrained by having to use Paragon assets and having to make their map look like any of Paragon's old maps. They just went with their own thing. So now we have these huge redwood forests. We've got sand dunes. We've got big stone arches, all kinds of crap on that thing. And it is just absolutely beautiful and amazing. And I can't wait for Ethereal.
Yeah, they've got some pyramids on that. I mean, I think it's different maps, but like they've got like a huge pyramid themed map, like maybe an Egyptian style thing. I mean, they just have so much stuff going for them. I mean, as far as how big it is and maybe like moving around, as far as like if heroes or myths as they call them can like move around quick enough, I don't see that being a problem. The other thing that I was thinking about was like if they do have, you know, cannons or teleporters or whatever the way is for people that aren't, you know, Sky Slayers or, you know, what's the other one that can run on walls? Like I said, whatever the assassin type is.
Reapers.
Like if it's a teleporter, could you maybe just camp a spawn for wherever you're gonna come from? As far as like if you know somebody is gonna come through a cannon because you have a ward there or something, you know, all of you guys could just gang up on that cannon spawn point and just absolutely blitz them as soon as they come out.
I know that's one thing. Like their core is kind of like a separate area that has portals that lead to all three lanes. But there's actually, you can see through the portal into the lane to see if there is people trying to hide to take you out as soon as you come out of that portal. So I don't know if it'll be the same with cannons or not. A lot remains to be seen about Ethereal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the next map we saw, well, I don't know. If you want to count the grayscale map, it was core, but I don't think we really want to count the grayscale map. I think we should probably count Predecessor's map next. And I think definitely the big highlight for Predecessor's map was such a heavy influence from the Legacy Paragon map, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. Big shout out to Fringe, because you know you could watch him like looking at old Legacy videos and looking at Legacy pictures, and then going directly off of that to try and build the map for Predecessor, and it definitely felt like Legacy with a few kinks thrown in, like the jump pad going across the jungle and that sort of thing. So, Mandy, you probably had a lot more experience with the map than Mike did. What did you think of Predecessor's map?
That's actually one of my biggest regrets during the alpha, is that I didn't take the time to explore the map, because I was so like, okay, I'm playing Muriel, I need to stay in my lane and not, you know, I should have looked at it more of what it was, which was an alpha, you know, way to go and explore, because I didn't even get to try the jump pad. I didn't even get to like shoot across the thing. But loading in for the first time, I just stood there like looking around like, oh my gosh, it was stunning. Fringe did such an awesome job. You know, like Mike said, looks wise, all of these maps are killing it. But just to set foot on Agora again was so cool. And definitely, like I said, one of my big regrets is that I didn't explore the map enough. But me and Intharth, we kind of got to play around a little bit, and we were dueling Murdochs, and we were like, let's see if we can like shield bash each other off the map and stuff. And so that was pretty fun. But yeah, it was a blast, and it was looking really, really good.
Mike, what did you think about Predecessor's map and the whole Legacy being so heavily influenced by Legacy?
Well, I don't have a lot of like Legacy experience. Well, zero Legacy experience actually. I started when the game was on Monolith, but I thought it looked beautiful. I mean, as I said before, all the games are going to look great, but I thought it was. I mean, I don't have any real negative comments or any. I mean, besides the fact that it looks great as far as positive comments, but the one thing I thought of was like, I don't remember if it was Predecessor or not, but I think somebody mentioned like shortcuts through the jungle for very like agile characters or heroes. And I was just thinking like, is that going to be maybe a little bit too much of like a advantage if it's like built-in shortcuts where like back in Monolith, there were shortcuts technically for like a Wukong or a Kalari that could jump over a wall or something, but it felt so natural. It didn't feel like, oh, I'm taking the shortcut to get to this place. Like it just felt like, oh, I'm breaking the map right now. Like I'm going over something that I shouldn't be going over. So I just think maybe if they do too much with like shortcuts throughout the map for heroes that are already, you know, gifted ability or agility wise, you know, maybe, you know, that could be an issue, but I don't know. At the same time, you know, there were already shortcuts in Monolith, so, you know, I could just be full of it.
My biggest fear for their map is that they are somewhat limiting themselves by trying to emulate the Legacy map so much. Because, I mean, you know, let Fringe get creative is what I say. Let him do his thing. Maybe not stick so much to the legacy thing. So
yeah, and he's a creative and ambitious guy, so that would be really cool if they were just like turn him loose and see what he comes up with. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Then moving on to the Cores map, which we've all been seeing a whole lot of lately, and of course it is absolutely amazing and beautiful, and there's a lot going on there. I've already voiced the problems I had with the map through several venues, I think even on here last week. So let's get in. Mike, what do you think of Core's map?
Well, I think it was, I don't have too many negative, I didn't take too much time to really like get into and really watch the different maps to see, what I liked and what I didn't like necessarily. But one of the things I noticed looking back at it recently was, I believe on map B, in the base, there's, very large barriers between the inhibitors. And I'm not a big fan of that. I like it being wide open. Taking the time to rotate around that barrier to get to defend an inhibitor that's maybe being split pushed might be quite the disadvantage. So I don't know if I necessarily really care for that. The other thing is if you are running away from a Chimera in the jungle on either of those maps, you're not going to get away because those things are long and they are very narrow and they're very tall walls on both sides of you. So you're basically dead if you run into Chimera. As a carry or like a caster alone in the jungle.
Well, it's they wanted it to be imposing, and it certainly is imposing. So
yeah, go with your buddy.
Yeah,
buddy system.
Right.
Mandy, what'd you have to say about Core's map?
One thing that initially for me was a big pro was the width of the lanes. I thought they seemed really, really nice and big for team fights. And then I was watching, oh gosh, I don't remember whose stream it was. I don't want to say a name because I don't want to give anybody, the wrong credit, but I was watching somebody stream it and they said that might actually be a little bit of an issue with the lanes being as wide as they were. I think it was like giving advantage to casters or something like that. So it was like, oh yeah, something that I initially, because I played like as a carrier in a specific role, I didn't think about how a wide off lane would affect somebody. So it was definitely interesting to get everybody's point of view and see what things that I thought were pros maybe weren't in other, when seen in a different light. So, but I gotta say, man, freaking gorgeous, that map. I loved like that pearlescent mother of pearl look on the thing. Oh my gosh, it was stunning, beautiful.
Yeah, not much bad can be said about Core's map so far. It's
not much.
The only thing we can really say is that we got to play on it. We got to play on it to really find out how it's going to work and how it's going to be. And aesthetically, it's kind of like, I don't know why there's these brand new towers and then these crumbling ruins right next to them. Like, that's kind of weird, but I mean, that's just such a small little nitpick thing.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, and I thought, like, on Monolith's map, like, I thought that mid lane was very perfectly made. Like, it was pretty solid for team fights. I mean, there was some definite elevation change where you could really make some things happen. And then obviously the, jungle being on both sides of you, of course. But, like, is Core's map, as that mid lane, it's pretty flat, isn't it? As far as the mid lane, like, itself, isn't that relatively flat, and then it, like, goes off on the sides as far as the jungle?
No, with the new one, I mean, it's like, they got the cliffs that are kind of like, okay, if my hands are looking at the top part, like, it's kind of open here, and then it's got these cliffs right here, and then each side goes out to the river buffs. I think it looks good. I just kind of wish the cliffs, instead of being like right next to each other, I wish they were like this, like offset. So I'm doing a lot of stuff with my hands this episode. I'm layering maps. I'm probably throwing gang signs and don't even know it. So, do you guys have anything else you wanted to say about the maps?
Everybody's looking good. Can't wait to actually get boots on the ground and run around.
Yep.
Yeah, let me run around on that map, eh?
Now for moving on to the community suggestions, we're going to bring back the skin ideas once again because, like I said, I couldn't get through all of them last time, and I'm not going to be able to get through all of them this time. Once again, I didn't have time to get pictures. I'm sorry, guys. Just work has been crazy for me. But community skin ideas. Hikari Music came up with a baseball Severog, which is one I always thought he should have mainly because of Colossal Blow. Like, just put a little hat on it. Yep, big old baseball bat instead of a scythe.
Right.
I think that would be so funny to see, like, it's still the hood and no face, but a baseball cap. Like, I just think that would be hysterical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some socks just floating down because he has no feet.
Yes. Oh my god, yes.
And then Nick Tana, who we referenced on the community builder last time. I don't know if you noticed in that community builder, the Grux skin that Nick Tana had drawn was a Grandma Grux skin. I think everybody has been asking for a Grandma Grux skin ever since they kind of released that little blurb of his lore where he was like his grandma was tougher than him or some shit like that. But yeah, I think that's a community favorite that everybody wants to see, and I would really like to see Grandma Grux. Go check out Nick Tana if you want to see his drawing of it. And Marco Antonini came up with a Steampunk Crunch skin. This one also seems like a perfect fit. And we were talking about Steampunk earlier with Ethereal skins. What do you guys think of a Steampunk Crunch?
I thought any character that would go well with Steampunk Crunch, just like, that would be so cool. Like, see gears and like a little top hat, and I just think that would be really cool.
I think so for sure. I think they all need a little bit of one.
Yeah.
Everybody should get one.
It's definitely something that just looks so cool. You can make almost any character look really cool with some steampunk.
Oh my god, if they gave Crunch a monocle, oh my god, that would be the greatest.
Oh, that would be amazing. I was thinking goggles, but you're right, a monocle would be amazing.
I think eventually we'll probably see a human Crunch where it's like a Mike Tyson punch-out boxer kind of Grux, or kind of Crunch.
Somebody in the skin ideas mentioned a Popeye Crunch skin, which is absolutely perfect because of the huge forearms, you know.
I don't know why the idea of a humanoid-looking Crunch creeps me out. I don't know what that says about me.
Well, maybe because like the body proportions would be so inaccurate that it would just be very weird.
The stuff of nightmares, man.
Plus, his little front flap always looked like a penis to me.
Oh my god, yes!
It did, but the balls were on top instead of behind. So weird. So weird. Which is a weird way to have your balls. Poor Crunch. And then
wait, we don't all have our balls like that?
I don't know. Mine are so small I can't really tell. What did I tell you the other day, Mandy? I'm 40 years old. My balls hang lower than Buddha's earlobes. I got stung on the ass by a bee, and my boss wanted me to take a picture of it.
Oh god.
So moving on to we had Rogue Route. He wanted individual country skins. I think that's really cool. Like USA skins or Spain skin, whatever. Just whatever country you want. I think it would be really great if you could just represent in the game with a individual country skin. This seems like a great fit all around, and I see no problems with it at all.
Yeah. I think that would be so cool, and it would be so fun to see all the Americans not know what the other flags are.
Is that Texas? No, that's Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Is that Texas?
Oh, I once mistaked a stripper's outfit to be a Texas bikini. It was it was Puerto Rico. It was Puerto Rico.
And I bet you found out quick.
I did. In a language I don't know. Moving on, we got Dylan Roth. We got another Grimm skin, a pizza oven Grimm, and his alt is a big deep dish pizza that comes firing out and hits you in the eye like a big pizza pie. I think that's Grimm was in the game.
Oh, my dad is here!
Hey!
Dad!
What's going on?
What's up, Dad?
What's up? What's up?
Yo.
We're doing a show for YouTube.
Oh,
a bunch of people are gonna watch it, so
I love it.
you're gonna be in front of a bunch of people.
I hope I have my
Gonna be-
Woo!
He just got a haircut too, so it's
Oh,
perfect.
nice. It's perfect.
So Mike shows me up with his
Perfect.
eyes. His dad shows me up with the beard. Oh my God.
I can't hear him, but
Oh, they can hear you. Oh,
okay, good.
he said you guys are mates. So.
Aw. Bye, Dad.
That is
I
awesome.
knew we were gonna see him.
Yes.
I just knew it.
Yes.
So,
Subscribe for more Mark. Subscribe for more Mark.
so back to Grim. I don't know why he didn't get more skins. He was one of the original ones. I mean, he wasn't one of the original ones, but he was in the game pretty quick after it came online, and he just like him. Decker was one of the original ones. She got what, Arctic skin and like energy something skin. Like, why didn't some of the heroes get skins and the other ones did? It's so weird.
Yeah, she seemed to just get a bunch of like recolors, which was kind of just disappointing. But one of the things I thought about this skin as soon as I heard it or read it was, if his displacement bomb was like a big meatball, it just like explodes and displaces everybody. Maybe makes them all, gives them a bunch of meat. Puts a bunch of sauce on everybody.
Just sauce everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. And like he has
That's
like
amazing.
breadsticks that shoot out instead of little energy bolts. Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, I can dig it. I can dig it.
Put a fucking
Heck yeah.
one of those big chef's hats on him.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I am picking up what you're putting down.
I think we're about to become the team that decides all the skins for the entire for all 3 games or 4 games coming
It's
out.
my subs, man.
Yeah.
My subs are amazing. They have great ideas.
Mhm.
So, moving on from community suggestions, let's go with the community builder. And this week it's going to be Recollection. He's just starting to do some videos on MetaBuff and Core. He did like an introduction to himself, and then he did like a part 1, part 2, where he just tried to break things down for everybody. So if you want, go ahead and check out Recollection. Recommend him. Very small. I think he has like 40 something subs. So go hit him up, man. Hit him up. Give him a try. If you like him, subscribe. If you don't, move on. That's how YouTube works. But that is going to pretty much wrap things up, except for plugs. Mandy, got anything to plug?
I have something to plug.
Oh, shit, son.
I actually did some work. So I put out a long mediocre gaming where I played Until Dawn. So if you want to see me get scared, go and check that out. And then I have officially streamed now like twice on Twitch. So I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm pretty much a professional streamer. So if you guys want to come check out that shit show, pop on by.
Everybody loves a shit show.
Everybody. Yeah, my first time I was streaming Red Dead and I accidentally shot someone. I'm the accidental outlaw, so
Mike, you got anything you want to plug?
Yeah, nothing to plug. Just want to say though, thank you guys for having me. If you want to check out my channel, go for it. If you don't, no big deal. Kind of just do it, talk off the top of my head. I don't like to keep all the thoughts inside, so I like to let them out. And I don't have a lot of people to talk Paragon with, so might as well put it on a YouTube video, right? But check it out if you want. Like I said, if you don't want to, no big deal. Just doing it for fun. So, but like I said, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's been great. You've been an absolutely great guest host. You always bring up a lot of solid, good points in your videos, and you definitely brought that to For the Minions, and I appreciate that, dude. Before I can give you a chance to respond, I'm going to move on.
I thought you were going to move on, so I was just going to be like, well, thanks, man.
So, our Patreon, of course, and Unhappy Camper still are our only patron for now. But, thanks very much, Unhappy Camper. It's at patreon.com/for-the-minions if you want to hit that up and help us out. And the other thing I kind of want to plug is started an actual podcast with Nato Christo. It's called Corecast, and that one's all about MetaBuff and Core, not the other games. Hopefully, maybe I'll start some podcasts for the other games too. But yeah, if you guys want to check that out, it's going to be pretty cool. And by the way, I know I said something about iTunes. It's going to be on as many platforms as possible, so Android users will be able to access it as well. So I think that is going to be it for this episode of For the Minions. This was a fun one. I had a lot I had a really good time. I came into this really tired, and now I feel completely energized. So thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Mike. It's been really awesome having you guys. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. We will see y'all later.
Bye.
I really need to work on my outros. Mango!